agreed to? If not, then we'll give Brandy an opportunity to address us. Would you like to address us about a clerk, or I will? Okay, not a problem. I had a meeting with Brandy and Pam about a clerk. As you guys know, we had a lot of difficulty. Of course, last year was an anomaly with the number of elections we had, but we still are struggling with keeping up with all of the things associated with elections, registering people, as well as we may very well have a new district with the ESD that's being proposed. We have redistricting coming up probably in November, and the general consensus was from both Brandy's tax assessor department and Pam's as the Cooke County clerk, who both take care of all of our elections, believe that we need an additional person in order to facilitate all of the activities that we're looking at going through this year. I don't have the exact numbers, and maybe Elizabeth can give us a rough estimate, but I know that Brandy, you had a reasonable amount of overtime from last year, didn't you? Yes. Do you know exactly how much overtime? I think that we had discussed this a couple of times. I think Commissioner Clement, you had spoken to Brandy about it as well.
I have in the past, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could use an extra person to help work on elections. I know last year was an anomaly with all the ones we had, but with growth and everything coming on the way it is in this county, I think it's time to address the complexities of the new voting equipment and what it takes to set that all up. Takes a lot of time. I think it's a good start.
I wonder if we might consider, Brandy's group does a heck of a job. You go in to register a vehicle and you're in and out in probably less than 5 minutes. Other counties around, people are waiting in line 15, 20 minutes to register a vehicle. Wonder if we deferred some of the resources from the tag office over to voter registration and delayed services and tried that for a year, if that might be worth an assessment. And then I know Pam had talked about really her need now was some part-time help, and setting the machines up, that's primarily yours, isn't it? So that falls on Pam as far as setting up the machines. Brandy, not to put you on the spot, but is it safe to say most of the people that come in and get out, you're turning them in about less than 5-6 minutes?
Yes.
And you typically don't have a line on the tag side. You know, I mean, you're much more efficient than, or my perception is, you're much more efficient than all the surrounding counties as far as getting people in and out. Would it put an undue burden on you to maybe move a person as needed from the front lines back to take care of voter registration stuff?
So I already have a clerk that I use 90% of my time with voter stuff. But whenever we're shorthanded or anything, and we're busy, then I move her up to the front.
Well, what if you delay your services a little bit, though? In other words, instead of being Johnny on the spot, that everybody shows up, that if they have to stand for 5 minutes before they actually are received by one of your clerks, would that be a really bad representation on your office?
I think so.
Yeah.
We really do have lines, and people do have to wait. We are getting busier, and next year we'll get even busier, as I was saying, with things changing from legislation. So
The other thing,
I think it's going to hurt us because we're hurting now.
I understand what you're getting at, Gary, but I don't know if the people in this county will think it's progress if we make people start waiting 20 to 30 minutes. I hear people complain about they have to wait that long. Hey folks, we're going to make it to where now you're going to wait an extra 10 minutes. I've been in there and waited 10 and 15 minutes already. Now, sometimes, I always kid around when I walk in, there's nobody in there, but that's not true. It happens once in a while, but I've had to wait 10 minutes and 15 minutes.
I mean, it's already stressful enough in there, as much as we have to multitask, and my biggest thing is, I don't want my girls to be as stressed out as they are already, and making customers wait even longer. Then you have customers that are stressed out and, not happy about waiting, and then that just puts, more on my girls, and, I wouldn't be okay with it. I mean, it's hard enough for us to get our stuff done. We get it done, but, I mean, it's hard enough already. So pulling somebody away would definitely hurt us.
And we know we're going to have a significant increase in population, I believe, over the next 10 years. The estimated increase is between 10 and 15% over the next 10. And was there legislation this time, Brandy, that allows someone from another county to register in our county?
So
How
they're
does that
looking
work?
at, I think it's like SB 876 or something, they're actually looking into where you can transfer vehicles in other counties. And that's what I was saying before, that if that happens, they're working on the money part to see how you can transfer that money to the county it belongs to. We would get very little money if we did it. And if we accept it, because it's at will, we don't have to do it. But if we do accept it, I mean, I do see us being more like the driver's license, where everybody's coming up here to get their stuff done. Because we already turn a lot of people away now that try to come up here and do their tags and anything, and we can't accept it.
Okay, thank you. I thought that there was legislation addressing that.
And even though they can do them online now, do the registration online, it's still some burden on your office by the time you still have to take some action, right?
Oh, yeah, we still have reports and everything for the online stuff. We have to transfer money over and different things.
Thank you, Brandy.
You're welcome.
Any thoughts, any motions?
I'll make a motion, we put an extra person.
Have a motion from Commissioner Clement to add a...
And just, well, go ahead. I'll give you some talk after you, whatever you get.
Have a motion from Commissioner Clement to add an additional person in order to work election registration redistricting in Brandy's office.
Second.
Have a second from Commissioner Arndt. Any further discussion?
Yes. It's easy to say don't do it. It's easy to say, wait, we're not big enough, we're not busy enough, but we're getting busier, we're getting bigger. We're addressing that in other areas where we hire new people in this county. Elections are getting, as you can see by all the talk in the United States, more complicated, not less complicated. Eventually, I think they're going to really push us to go to voting centers instead of just precincts. The complexity of the voting machines and what all has to be set up. Sure, we could get by maybe for another year or two, but there's going to be a time that it has to be done, and it's better to work into it and make it a smooth transition. Less problems, less headaches in the long run. That's how I look at it, and I think it's a good investment for the taxpayer.
Any further discussion?
I agree with Leon. I brought this up probably when was that? We had a meeting
Yeah.
and,
Which one?
well, it was down at the church.
Yeah.
I talked to you about it a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
But we are growing, and I don't think we want to get behind the eight ball. We need to be proactive and get in front of this thing. And the girls are working. I mean, I know this last year was crazy, but next year could be the same. I mean, we don't know. So they also have a lot of other responsibilities they take care of. So I think we need to help them.
Anything else? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The next issue that we didn't address in our previous meeting was the sheriff's salary. We had discussed that in a couple of meetings before, but on a statewide average, our sheriff is about $3,000 behind the average for for counties our size. The recommendation we made previously, I believe his salary is 68, and we talked about moving it up to 71, as well as paying the differential for the master's license that he holds, which was $1,800 annually. Thank you.
Did you say 1,800?
Yes, sir.
4,800 total, right?
Yeah.
Move to approve. If we're doing motions on this stuff, if we're taking votes on it, I'd make the motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Hollowell to approve, a second from Commissioner Arn. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Now, just for the record, this is preliminary,
Yes.
and we can change things yet when we get into the final.
So
Yes, sir.
I was kind of surprised we was voting on them, but that's, I mean, I thought we was kind of just looking for consensus for your
Yeah.
proposed.
Well, yes.
Whatever works for you, Judge.
Whatever
Whatever
okay.
works.
That's fine,
It's
I
your
know.
proposed, let's do however you want to do it.
I don't want to give it a certain sense of finality that things
No.
can't change. That's
No,
all. No, I
absolutely.
think this is fine to have the vote on this, the way
Yeah.
we're doing it. I'm not.
What we're discussing about, and I'll reiterate that here for clarity, is that we're discussing the judge's proposed budget. So actually, it's my budget. So, but historically, we have always tried to have consensus and a vote on that budget before we filed it with the county clerk. But the commissioners are absolutely correct. This is not a final budget, and it can be changed between now and the time we have public hearing and at public hearing.
The motions I could put, approve proposed raise, proposed
Yes, sir.
hire.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's what really happened.
Okay, that gets us to the proposed judge's budget that we discussed Monday, and you have the brief overview of the changes that we made Monday. So I would like to have discussion and then a vote on accepting this proposed budget.
There's something I think ought to be addressed, if not today, that we could come to any kind of consensus on it. I'll give it one last try when we go to the final. The Crest Building, I don't think we put anything in the budget to really address the Crest Building. And we bought that building, and we told the public it was basically almost move-in ready, and we had need for it. And I think we do have need for it. If we don't I know it's going to need some work. I don't think it's going to need millions of dollars worth of work. I think it's minimal. We have to address the elevator and a few things. We fixed the fire suppression system that had to be done. I don't know why we wouldn't try to move in it. It'll be sitting there, move something into it. I know the auditor, I think, is getting 2 new people. We're getting more crowded around here. Let it sit empty for another year. It'll sit there empty for 2 years. Buildings degrade for 2 years. But sit empty. Buildings just slowly start to fall apart. And if we don't really address anything this year, this upcoming year, October on, it'll be the middle of the next year before we really, in the next budget session, we're talking about a year from October, from this October. And I think it's time that we do something with it, or at least discuss it and put some money where we can get started on it, because you know how slow things go with government entities when they try to spend money and get things done. We made an investment in it. Yes, we'll have to dip into reserve funds to work on it, but I'd like to see something put in there to address that building.
I agree. I think the discussion Monday was to put 500,000 in there.
I don't think that's enough. I think there ought to be $1 million.
Oh, I think there was, Shelley's not here, but in her discussion, I thought she talked about money specifically earmarked, plus money in capital improvements, plus
Well-
additional monies in contingency is what I
but-
thought.
Well, we did talk about that, but I never really got a good feeling for how much. We talked about that building over there being roughly $1.5 million, and I brought up the question, what about the Crest building? Well, there was going to maybe be a few $100,000 or $500,000, and there was also some sentiment expressed in this room about it'll take more money than that to get it going, but Commissioner Snuggs and I discussed it out in the hallway that it didn't seem like we were going to make much of an effort. Now, I know we still have time to discuss all this, but I just want to make sure that we actually do put some money in the budget expressly for that building. Because I don't think it's going to take a lot of work to,
What's currently earmarked is $500,000. I have Shelley on the phone.
it is?
Yeah. Now, if we think that there's an additional amount that's required, then we can certainly discuss that in between now and the time we do the final budget.
Well, it's also time to start having a discussion what we're going to do with it.
Yep.
Not just throwing a little money in an account. There are some building needs we have around here that, old buildings we need to maybe think about moving people out of. That was one of the reasons that I thought we bought that building. Future growth and to relieve some pressure right now.
Yeah, we had discussed this also on Monday, that after we finish the budget process, we need to have a strategical planning session as a court to do a business plan for the next 12 months, one for the next 36, and one for the next 48. Because we have a lot of things that we keep discussing that we don't have a specific action listing and timeline
Exactly.
to accomplish. So
Well, as commissioners, we get busy with roads, we get busy with bridge building projects. Arndt's on the TCOG board, I'm on Meals on Wheels and the TAPS board. I mean, we've got 10 different things we're trying to do at one time. And if we don't specifically point it out and have benchmarks, all of a sudden 6 months have passed and we haven't done anything. It's not because we haven't been working, it's just because there's so many things that have our attention. And there's always new stuff pops up. So
no, I agree.
that's all I want to say. That's enough.
I'll take the action to call a workshop to start doing the strategical planning for a 1-year business plan, 2-year business plan, and 3-year business plan.
Our wish list.
But we need to formally adopt what we want to do and in what order we want to do it and how we're going to fund it. Because we have a number of things that we need to address, and we've discussed them numerous times. The parking lot, the probation buildings, both of them are old. Parking downtown, certainly an issue. The Crest building, the Annex building. So we need to put together a business plan with specific actions and timelines, and I'll take that. We'll put that together sometime, hopefully in the end of August. So with that said, anybody want to make a motion on accepting this, or do we need more discussion?
You going to put your raise in there?
Oh, the raise is at 5%. You guys want to discuss that for a minute? Good point. On this preliminary from Monday, what we currently have is a 5% raise.
Just depends on which one people are looking at, but no.
Yeah, everybody got the same one. The one that Shelley and I marked up is the one with the 5% raise on it.
That's good.
I don't know that there's any support out there to take care of this, take into consideration this ARPA money,
Which money?
the ARPA money.
Oh, the ARPA money.
The fact that, what do we got earmarked, $6.5 million that the county currently has.
I think we've received 4.2 of the 8.4 that we're to receive.
Million.
Yes, million.
I don't know that you necessarily call it a raise. I think it's called premium money. I think that we don't have the money earmarked at this point. Not that I'm an advocate of programs, but if we don't spend it, we're going to give it back.
Yeah.
So,
I stand corrected. We've actually received 4 million out of the 8 million we're going to receive total.
And, I mean, I would still encourage us to look at a 7% increase. We may not give raises the next 2 or 3 years, but if we could, that would actually be funded out of ARPA money. We ought to take advantage of it.
How long would that last?
3 years. And then that gives us, over the next 3 years, anticipated growth, or what kind of inflation, what kind of impact we're going to have based on inflation, whether or not we ever give the raise beyond that. There's several variables there, but certainly got an opportunity to fund a 7% increase through ARPA.
Can we do that across the board? Because the discussion the other day, I didn't know we could use ARPA money to give everybody a raise.
It's called premium money, based on the fact that the people that worked through the COVID and are currently working through the COVID era, and it's my understanding that that now includes everybody, including elected officials.
Well, that changes every week.
I understand.
No, it does. I mean, the rules change every week.
Yeah, but
Elizabeth? The 7% raise, any thought on your part?
I would agree with it. We could use the ARPA money, and it does sound like we can, after talking to Shelley, that we can use that ARPA money for elected officials, regular employees, to absorb that raise.
Oh,
is
that's
it
good
full-time
news.
and part-time? Do you know? And I'm not trying to put you on the
As far as
spot.
I know, it's full-time, part-time. Anyone.
I know at one time it was just emergency personnel.
You're right, I absolutely
At one
agree.
time it was just like EMS and police officers and sheriff's deputies and all that.
And it includes all county.
Okay.
Well, that's good news.
So you'll spend 3 million of it.
Over 4 years, over 3 years.
Yeah. Because that's 7% would be roughly $1 million. Right.
Yeah, it's around 800,000.
Well, 6% is 850,000 when you figure general
Oh,
and
when you do
road.
that and road and bridge.
Time you do both. And I know sometimes this gets confusing. People talk about just general fund, but then you have road and bridge also. So, you got to add the two together.
Yep.
But I currently, other than the ambulances, I don't know that, and Judge, you may can help me, that we have anything else earmarked for that money.
We don't. We had discussed some different initiatives as it applies to tourism, but other than the ambulances, we don't currently have anything earmarked.
Well, at one time, there was a discussion that you could help Butterfield Stage,
That's the tourism.
the Fairbarn Association, and what else? There was something else. The museum.
Fort Museum.
Museum.
But if there's 8 million out there and we spend 3 million on raises to try to take care of our employees, that's still 5 million for other
Yeah.
things.
Well, I was just trying to remember which organizations it was we had talked about. That's the only places we had talked about. We can't use it for road and bridge as far as infrastructure of any kind, can we? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's a Shelley question.
Well, at one time they talked about, at one time early it was, you'll be able to use it for infrastructure, and then that all died on the vine. That wasn't. Then it's been morphing.
So, but anyway, that would be my recommendation. And if I recall right, for every dollar you put in the community, it turns over 8 times. Is that correct?
I always thought it was 7, but I don't know.
But it's gonna turn over several times, so it certainly should help the local economy.
It's called the multiplier effect, and I believe it is 5 times.
5 times.
Yeah.
One of us might be right. I don't have a clue which one, but
But
I'm
yes.
a little more optimistic than you are.
Yes, yeah. We spend money more
Munster-
freely here in Munster.
In Munster, they turn it over 7 times.
So,
Lindsay too, right? Yeah.
what's the number? This says 568, what's the number at 7?
I would have to do something.
I was just doing,
No, throw, I was
just doing rough math in my head, splitting the difference is all I was doing.
But anyway, that would be my suggestion and my rationale behind the suggestion. It would be based on premium monies funded by ARPA.
Understanding that we can use the ARPA money, I agree. I think at least for the proposed budget preliminary, that we use 7%.
If we hear some huge outcry from the public, then we could, again, this is proposed.
Any thoughts?
I'm just doing math,
Okay.
trying to figure out what 7% would be, this total dollar.
You're real close, I would think.
Yeah,
I'd
you
say,
are.
or-
If you split the difference on what these numbers you have here.
You want me to work it up real quick?
No, that's good enough. I was just double checking my addition.
Okay. I make the motion that we accept the judge's proposed budget at a 7% raise for county employees,
If we can use the ARPA money.
if we can use ARPA money. That's good.
Is that all right, Gary? I mean,
Absolutely.
that 7% is
Based on
requisite
ARPA
that we can
money, if
based on
not, we
ARPA
go
money.
with the 5 and go from there. No, I'm good.
Sounds good.
Just a suggestion.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Arn. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The judge's proposed budget is accepted with the changes that we discussed earlier at a 7% raise for county employees.
Which is coming out of ARPA money.
Yes, pleased to note that if we can use ARPA money for that purpose.
Can I ask a question of Elizabeth? The time clock thing. So what's the hitch that,
So the hitch for me is that it does not approve anything for payroll part on the auditor side. They still have to do everything that they've done before because it goes over in that data at that point, and it doesn't make anything any more efficient than what it is now. It's still going to have to be the same process. So it's not an automatic process from that point forward. The other thing is, I guess I feel like a lot of it is taking what I do now and putting it off on the elected officials to improve time and to make sure people have their time in the system. So I guess I don't see a lot of efficiencies coming from it for the amount of money that it
well,
is.
that was one of my concerns is how do you back check compared to what we do on a sheet of paper now? It's, you look at everyone and you can figure it out pretty easy if you do it on
I
time
mean, the
clock.
only benefit that I see from it is an employee can clock in and out and you can know what time they got here, know what time they left.
Okay.
But I don't see a lot of, like I said, improved efficiencies. You still have to have the ability to have your signed paperwork for FEMA. It will not take care of election payroll. That would be still the same way we do it now. So.
You're not gaining
I
anything
don't
out
want
of
to be
it.
negative about it, but I also don't
Well,
want to spend the county's money when it's not
yeah.
going to improve something.
You're
So
not
I don't see
gaining,
that it's-
yeah. I got you.
I know it'd be nice to have them clock in and out, but I don't see a lot of benefit.
No, okay. Just curious.
Okay, the next thing, we need to deliberate and consider possible setting of date for public hearing for the proposed budget. The way the new law, we have had a law change on that particular issue, states that the budget hearing must be held within 25 days after the filing of proposed budget. The notice of the budget hearing must be published at least 10 days and not more than 30 days before the budget hearing. So if the plan would be to file the proposed budget Monday, which would be
The second,
the 2nd.
can we do it on the Monday that we have court on the 9th, or is that enough days? Y'all are doing the math.
No, it wouldn't be.
What is it? How many days after we post, Judge?
We have to do it within 25, but we have to give at least a 10-day notice.
Okay, so that ain't happening.
No? And then the next normal court would be the 23rd, is that right?
I've never known us to have a normal court, Judge.
Okay. Yeah. The
All
next,
depends on what you call normal.
the next planned one. Okay.
But 23rd, will that work on the?
Does that work on the calendar?
It does. It gets us within the 21 days. I mean, the 25 days, it would be 21 days.
Why would we do that?
Okay. So I make a motion that we have the public hearing for the proposed budget on August the 23rd.
Second if you need it.
I need a second. I have a second from Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion?
Do we need a workshop in there or anything, or are we good?
Not for that, do we?
Not for that one.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The date for the proposed budget public hearing is August the 23rd.
I have a question for Darrell, if I may,
Sure.
since I've rattled on about the Crest Building. Are we going to need to be putting anything in that Crest Building as far as what electronics?
Yes, sir. If we're gonna occupy it and put people in there with computers, we have to get networking equipment for it, maybe wireless if you want to do that. I have the amounts for that in my proposed budget, but as far as I know, it's not in the judge's proposed budget.
So that's not in the budget. How much is that roughly? Just,
Very quick estimate. Around 25,000.
okay. Well, that
That's
could,
for refurbished equipment, as inexpensively as I can do it.
yeah, I got you. I didn't think about that earlier. Okay, that's something to
Don't forget
keep.
the tax rate, you still got it on your mind?
I do.
Do what?
I said, we don't forget the tax rate again, I'll be
Oh,
sure.
no, we're not going to forget the tax rate again.
Okay, then we'll go back to deliberate and consider possible approval of the proposed 2022 Cooke County tax rate.
Didn't you have a proposed at 4130 last week when we?
We did. And I'm good with .4100 after some additional discussion was what I was going to recommend.
I thought we were going to, what was the two, 39?
I thought we was going to go with 4130 anticipating, because we couldn't, and come back down to the 39.3 or
Your back
whatever.
sheet.
But we want to go.
Oh, okay, I got
Go
what
with the
you're saying.
max in
No, I got what you're
anticipation
saying.
that we're,
Yeah.
because we can always go down, we
Yeah.
can't go up. And I thought we were going to, and we had to go at 3.0 instead of 3.1 to,
Yeah.
right?
That is correct.
Don't let me talk you into something, I
Nope.
just,
You talking me into something? No.
I mean, but I think that's
Once
what
you set a proposed rate, what Gary's getting at is you can't come off of it, so. yeah.
no, you can't come,
That's what I said.
you can come
Well,
off
you can come
of
off of it, you can't go over it.
Right, yeah, you can't
In other-
come off
In other words, if we go to 39, we can't go up to 41.
it. Yeah. If we saw something in the next couple of weeks that we thought we needed.
All of a sudden, the ARPA money went somewhere else.
I'll make that motion for you, Judge.
Okay.
But it.
I have a motion to accept a tax rate of 4130.
And that's the correct one, right?
That
we
is
don't-
correct.
Okay.
No, I'm looking at it.
Proposed.
Proposed
Proposed,
tax.
yeah.
We say that a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
But not fully, if there's any way at all. My goal would be to set it at less than that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's our intention. I'll second that.
That's still a significant reduction. Our current rate is 4224.
I second.
I have a second from Commissioner Clement.
You did make the motion,
He
right?
did. We have a motion from Commissioner
Absolutely.
Hollowell to accept a proposed preliminary tax rate of .4130. And a second from Commissioner Clement All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
You didn't reprint the minutes, did you?
Hang on just a minute.
I went through everything I had. It's all in here.
Make sure he sets the.
Did we reprint the minutes so we could sign those?
Right.
Pam? You getting the minutes? Okay, that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah. She's just saying it's the same date.
Do I?
She's saying it's the same date as the tax.
Oh. Oh, I got you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is adjourn.
We got to set the date for the tax.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is to set the public hearing for
Same
the
date.
proposed tax rate.
23rd.
And, yep. can be
May I
the
make a
23rd.
motion?
I'll second.
Have a motion for the public hearing for the proposed tax rate to be August the 23rd. I have a second from Commissioner Clement. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. So the public hearing for the proposed tax rate is August the 23rd.
Excuse me.
Anything else we've overlooked? Okay. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
We can adjourn and sign the minutes afterwards, too.
Yeah.
Don't leave until we get the minutes signed.
Say again? Yeah, we won't leave.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Hollowell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.